My friend Daniel has an IQ of 152. Tested gifted in elementary school. Full scholarship to MIT, makes $230,000 a year as a software engineer. Objectively brilliant. But here's what's strange. Last month, he spent 4 hours researching which brand of paper towels had the best cost per sheet ratio. He created a spreadsheet comparing 12 brands across 6 stores. He calculated he'd save $23 a year. That same week, he got a parking ticket because he was too absorbed reading an article about behavioral economics to notice the meter expired. The ticket, $75. When I pointed out the irony, he laughed and said, "I know it makes no sense." But optimizing the paper towels felt like solving a puzzle. Feeding the parking meter was just mindless. That's when I realized high IQ people have the strangest relationship with money. Not bad, not irresponsible, just bizarre. And once you understand the psychology behind these habits, you'll see them everywhere. High IQ people exhibit money behaviors that seem to contradict their intelligence. Here are the patterns you'll recognize immediately. Habit 1. They'll research a $50 purchase for 3 hours, but make a $5,000 decision in 5 minutes. They'll read 40 reviews before buying a $30 Bluetooth speaker. They'll compare prices across 8 websites. They'll watch unboxing videos. But when it comes to choosing a health insurance plan that could cost them thousands, they pick the first option and move on. Why? Psychologists call this cognitive engagement preference. Small purchases are intellectually interesting. You can research them, optimize them, feel smart about the decision. Big, consequential decisions with lots of variables. Those feel overwhelming and boring. So they avoid the mental effort by just picking something quickly. Habit 2. They know exactly how much they're saving, but have no idea how much they're spending. I know people who can tell you their savings account balance to the penny. They track it obsessively. They know their investment returns down to the decimal point. But if you ask them how much they spent last month, no clue. They don't budget, they don't track expenses, they just spend and hope it works out. This is selective financial awareness. Watching money grow is intellectually rewarding. It's data, it's progress. It's something their brain can measure and feel good about. Tracking spending, that's tedious administrative work. So they avoid it. Habit 3. They optimize things that don't matter and ignore things that do. They'll switch banks to get a 0.2% higher interest rate on their savings account. They'll spend a weekend comparing credit card rewards programs to maximize points. But they've been in the same job for 5 years without asking for a raise that could get them $10,000 more annually. This is what researchers call low-stakes optimization bias. Switching banks is a puzzle with a clear answer. Asking for a raise requires emotional discomfort and uncertainty. High IQ people gravitate toward problems they can solve intellectually, even when they're low impact, and avoid high-impact actions that require emotional labor. Habit 4. They'll read 50 books about investing and have $0 invested. They consume every piece of content about personal finance. They understand compound interest better than most financial advisors. They can explain the difference between growth and value investing. But their own brokerage account doesn't exist. Or it exists, but has been sitting empty for 2 years while they do more research. This is perpetual information gathering as action substitute. Their brain gets the satisfaction of learning without the discomfort of doing. And because they're intelligent, they can always justify needing just a little more information before they're ready. Habit 5. They'll automate everything except the things that actually matter. They'll set up elaborate systems to auto-pay bills, auto-transfer small amounts to savings, auto-categorize expenses in apps, but retirement contributions, they'll get to it manually when they have time to optimize the strategy, which means it never happens. Psychologists call this system building as procrastination. Creating systems feels productive and intellectually satisfying. Actually funding their retirement feels boring and obvious. So they build complex systems for trivial things and leave the important things undone. Habit 6. They can explain exactly why they should do something, but still won't do it. They know they need an emergency fund. They can cite the research. They understand the statistics on unexpected expenses. They can explain to you in detail why it's financially critical. Their own emergency fund doesn't exist. They've known it should exist for 5 years. They just haven't done it. This is the knowledge-action gap. Intelligence lives in understanding, but financial success lives in behavior. And for high IQ people, knowing something intellectually doesn't translate to doing it practically. Their brain treats knowledge as the accomplishment. A study from the Journal of Economic Psychology found that high IQ individuals are significantly more likely to engage in sophisticated procrastination, creating elaborate plans and strategies that give the illusion of progress while avoiding actual financial action. So what's the psychology behind these strange patterns? Their brains need intellectual stimulation, even from mundane tasks. For high IQ people, doing something boring correctly feels worse than doing something interesting poorly. Researching paper towels is a fun puzzle. Remembering to feed a parking meter is mind-numbing. So their brain prioritizes engagement over effectiveness. They experience the curse of too many options. Their intelligence allows them to see every possible choice and consequence. Should they invest in index funds or individual stocks, Roth IRA or traditional, pay off debt or invest the difference? Every option triggers analysis, and analysis triggers more questions. So they freeze, not from lack of knowledge, but from seeing too clearly. They mistake understanding for action. Because they can intellectually grasp financial concepts so easily, their brain registers that understanding as completion. I know I should max out my 401k feels like an accomplishment. Actually doing it? That's just boring execution. So the understanding becomes a substitute. They suffer from what researchers call cognitive overhead aversion. Big financial decisions require holding multiple variables in their head simultaneously. Their brain can do this, but it's mentally exhausting. Small, simple decisions, like buying a speaker. That's easy and fun. Choosing the right health insurance plan across 12 variables. That's exhausting. So they avoid the mental load by making big decisions impulsively. They've built an identity around being smart, not being effective. Many high IQ people were praised their entire lives for being intelligent. So their self-worth is tied to feeling clever. Doing simple, boring financial tasks doesn't feel clever. It feels beneath them. This is intellectual identity protection. They'd rather do nothing than do something that doesn't make them feel smart. Daniel once told me something revealing. I know the optimal financial strategy is boring and simple. Max out retirement. Invest in index funds. Automate everything. But actually doing it feels like admitting I'm ordinary. And I've spent my whole life not being ordinary. That's the trap. Intelligence becomes an identity. And that identity requires everything, even money management, to feel sophisticated. Here's what connects all these strange habits. High IQ people optimize for intellectual satisfaction, not financial outcomes. They'll solve a $20 problem that's interesting before a $10,000 problem that's boring. They'll research endlessly instead of acting simply. They'll build complex systems for trivial things and ignore simple systems for important things. And here's what's fascinating. They know they're doing it. If you ask them, they'll explain the irrationality of their own behavior with stunning clarity. Because changing would require something their intelligence can't easily provide. Doing boring things consistently without the reward of feeling clever. Research from Stanford found that high IQ individuals are more likely to engage in what's called metacognitive awareness without behavioral change. They can analyze their own counterproductive patterns, but struggle to change them because the alternative feels intellectually unstimulating. The strangest money habit of high IQ people isn't any single behavior. It's this: They can see the optimal path clearly, explain it perfectly, and still not take it because the optimal path doesn't feel interesting enough. Their intelligence is both their advantage and their obstacle. It lets them understand money deeply, but it also makes simple, effective strategies feel unsatisfying. The irony? The smartest financial move is often the most boring one. Automate savings. Max out retirement accounts. Buy index funds. Don't overthink it. But for a brain wired to solve complex problems, don't overthink it might be the hardest instruction of all. The strange money habits of high IQ people aren't flaws. They're features of how their brains work. Intelligence is a gift. But when it comes to money, sometimes the smartest thing you can do is the simplest thing, even if it doesn't feel clever. Subscribe to Money Archetype for more psychology behind the behaviors that shape how we handle money. Being smart about money doesn't mean thinking harder. Sometimes it means thinking less and doing more. Thank you for watching.